Alright, so today we're down here at the Aussie Detectorist store and we're going to determine what the best metal detector is for you and your budget. So let's get into it. Alright, let's start off with the lowest cost machines. These are machines under $500. Now please consider every price I mentioned in this video is in Australian dollars and it is the recommended retail price. So you could find it at higher or lower prices elsewhere, but yeah, for today's video we're just going to be referring to the recommended retail price. So to start off, we have the Minelab Go Find. Now this is the Go Find 22. It is probably the lowest cost machine on the market by a recognized manufacturer. So this is, as you can see, very compact. Now, the build quality may not be as high as, say, a CTX or an Equinox, but for what you're paying for, it is actually not too bad. Now, I wouldn't recommend this to people if you have the budget to spend more. This would be more oriented as, say, a Christmas present for a young kid, say 14 and under. This would be a perfect Christmas gift. Now this comes in 3 different models: the Go Find 22, 44 and 66. They're all very similar with just a few different functionalities. One thing to consider is this isn't waterproof, so you wouldn't want to go anywhere near water with this machine. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Alright, so the next machine or series of machines would be the Vanquish series. Now this is another Minelab product. They come in the Vanquish 340, 440 and 540. Prices and functionality go up consecutively with those 3 model numbers. Now the main thing to consider here is the control box isn't waterproof, but the search coil is. And with these machines, you do get the capability to actually swap over to aftermarket coils in other sizes, which is excellent. Gives you great versatility. You can do more with your machine. Now between the 3 machines, I'm going to keep this very brief because we've got a lot of machines to get through. So this is the 340 here. With the 440 and 540, you do get added functionality such as notch discrimination, segmented sensitivity, that kind of thing. So it's just things to consider. There's plenty of resources online, but they are great machines for their price. They're all multi-frequency. The only downside for most people is that they're not waterproof. Apart from that, they're really close to a Equinox machine. They're just, yeah, a little bit more basic, but technology is pretty similar. Great value for money. Now similar in price to the Vanquish 440 is the Nokta Simplex, which I have here. Now the difference here is this doesn't have the same multi-IQ technology that the Vanquish series has, but this is waterproof, and it is completely waterproof to 3 meters. So that is a big plus for many people that want to do things in lakes and beaches and just want to have that security that even if you're not putting the control box underwater, if you drop it in, you'll be very safe. So this is a Nokta Simplex. It's around $500 and it is a very capable machine of quite a good build quality. Now a downside to this being in Australia is the Australian detecting market is dominated by 2 brands mainly, Minelab and Garrett. Now the Nokta brand is becoming more large in Australia, but it's not as stocked as say the Minelab or Garrett brands are. So it could be hard to come by, and it could also be hard to come by aftermarket coils. Just something to consider, but it is a very capable machine. So that is the Nokta Simplex. Now I wasn't actually going to include this, it's not written into the notes for this video, but the Nokta Pulse Dive. This is kind of a machine of its own, it's in its own niche. It is a handheld, so it's almost like a pinpointer. Well, it really is a pinpointer with a search coil on the end, and this is for underwater hunting, saying bedrock, bottom, swimming holes, lakes, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the Nokta Pulse Dive. It's obviously waterproof. It's basically a pinpointer on steroids. So yeah, it's a pretty cool piece of kit. I haven't had the chance to use one of these before, but I've seen plenty of people online and they really seem to enjoy it. And being so minimalist, I guess you'd call it, very low on material costs, that kind of thing. These are just under $300. So that's pretty cool. Okay, now moving into the next price bracket of $500 to $1,000, we have the Minelab Vanquish 540. Now this is the top of the line of the Vanquish series. I showed you the 340 and 440 before, and the 540 here just crosses that $500 mark. Once again, it's a great bit of kit, not waterproof in terms of the control box, but the coil is waterproof to 1 meter. With this one, a great advantage or a disadvantage, it depends on your lifestyle, is the interchangeable batteries. So with the Vanquish series, these are replaceable batteries, whether it be rechargeable or not. They can be removed and replaced, so you can bring spares with you. Now you could see this as a downside or an advantage, but the Equinox series are rechargeable, as in the battery is actually in the hand grip of the machine, so it can't be removed and replaced. So if you're in the middle of nowhere with no source of charging, batteries could be very handy for you. Downside of this is you do have to carry batteries with you. But yeah, once again, Vanquish series, simple to use, interchangeable coils. Only downside is they are not waterproof in terms of the control box. And now moving up in both functionality and price, we are right on the verge of that $1,000 mark here. This is the Equinox 600. Now this is an excellent machine. It is an extremely popular machine. The Equinox series is probably the most popular metal detector series to have ever existed, ever, anywhere. They are so popular, it's because of their amazing price point and their amazing versatility. Yeah, it's just, there's so much packed into this machine, it's unbelievable. So let's get into it. First of all, 3 meters waterproof. So this is the lowest cost Minelab machine that is actually waterproof on the market today. As well as this, you have 6 detecting modes: Park 1, Park 2, Field 1, Field 2, Beach 1, Beach 2. You don't have the gold mode on this because you don't have the 40 kilohertz function, whereas you do on the Equinox 800, which is in the next price bracket. Another great thing about this machine is, you got wireless headphones. You have the options to change between frequencies. You can stay on multi, or you can switch between, which is a great function. Say you want to get some depth, or you want to get some high sensitivity, you can do that. In terms of the user interface, it is absolutely incredible, extremely easy to use. The screen's great. It's got a light at the back, which some of my previous machines, I really wish they had a light at the back, because when you're detecting on the beach, low light, maybe in the shade. Yeah, it's just, it's great. For the money, it's an excellent machine. Once again, you have the ability to change between the coils. You've got this coil, you've got a 17-inch and a 6-inch. All have their own uses and benefits, which is, excellent. Once again, this has the battery built into the hand grip there, which is good. You don't have to carry around batteries, AA batteries. But then if you do run out in the field, you will have to have some source of power with you, whether that be, a battery pack or a cigarette lighter in your car, something like that. So that is the Equinox 600. Okay, now we're moving into the final bracket, and this is $1,000 plus. Now with this bracket, this is basically as high as you're going to go in terms of coin and relic machines. The next bracket, of course, is the pulse induction machines, and we'll get into those in just a bit. Now to start off, we're going to head straight to the Equinox 800. Now this is my personal machine that I'm holding right here, so it is a bit dirty, but it has been out and used. So the only difference between this one and the 600 really is the added gold feature. Now this has the added 40 kilohertz function, which is just great for, say, gold bearing areas. So this is a very low cost in terms of gold machines. This is a low cost way to both cover coin and relic and gold detecting. It's kind of an umbrella machine. Now you're not going to get the functionality of, say, a GPZ 7000 or even an SDC 2300, but the option is always there if the opportunity presents itself to you. So that is the Minelab Equinox 800. Okay, next at a very similar price tag to the 800 is the XPORX. Now this is an extremely light machine. It barely weighs anything. Now another great thing about this machine is not only is it lightweight, but it's extremely portable. As you can see, it's got these little locking mechanisms here, and you can really, make it quite compact, and that remote actually comes off, and fold the coil down, and that'll fit in your backpack, no problem. Another great thing about this is that it's actually wireless, so you're never going to get tangled in cords. The headphones are wireless. This speaks to the coil wirelessly, and yeah, there is a lot of interchangeability with these. You can get multiple coils, you can run multiple remotes, headphones, everything. It's just the XP brand is, in its own league. It's its own kind of style of machine that you won't see in any other brand. Build quality is excellent, as you would expect, and the only downside to this is it is not waterproof without the proper housing, and obviously the wireless function will not work underwater, so you will need to get an extra cord. Another downside, in my opinion, other people probably wouldn't agree with this, but you have to charge everything separately. Your headphones are separate, your coil's separate, this is separate, so you will have 3 cords running from the same USB outlet, which is good because you get a 3-way cord, but you do need to always make sure that you have everything charged up. Now this machine is oriented towards gold. This white coil is a high frequency coil, but you can use this on coin and relic. It is absolutely fine to use for both. But once again, you will not get the sensitivity or the the gold strengths as you will with an SDC or a 7000, obviously. So that is the XPORX. And next up we have the XPDEUS. Now this is the top of the line in the XP range. This is considerably more than the ORX and the Equinox 800, but it is an excellent machine. I've heard people refer to this as the Rolls-Royce of metal detecting. It is a personal opinion. Obviously people have biases to their brands, but build quality is excellent. Once again, it's not waterproof without that housing, but with this machine it really is something special. When updates come out, you can update your machine, so your software will never really run out of date as some others will. The newer Minelab ranges of Equinox can actually be updated, which is really cool, and the same with the Vanquish. Older versions of machines, unfortunately, you cannot, but the Deus is the king of functionality, I reckon you would call it. There are so many options and small details that you can play with and choose from. I have had the opportunity to use the Deus a few times. I did like it. With my machines, I do like them to be waterproof. I know I'm not going to use it in water too often, but you know, look at my past few videos. I have been at the lake where I have needed the Equinox 800, which is waterproof. So with each machine, no matter what machine you're looking at, just make sure you consider every little thing, where you're going to use it, what your budget is, and whether you need it to be waterproof. Now, if you're going to be in the middle of New South Wales on some dried out paddock, you're not going to need a waterproof detector, so don't even worry about that. The rain, you can get rain covers, that kind of thing. So just make sure you consider all the little things and what you actually need, not what you think you need, because yeah. And finally, we have the Minelab CTX 3030. So this is the grandfather of metal detecting. This was an ultimate machine. It did come out in 2012, so I'm hoping that Minelab may come out with an updated version very soon, since this is 8 coming on 9 years old now. It does have a bit of weight to it, but the power and the performance is amazing. But since the Equinox came out, I'm very much leaning towards the Equinox, as you know, it's an amazing machine, amazing functionality for the price point, where this is actually, you know, a little over $1,000 more. So in my opinion, I'll definitely go with the 800 over the CTX, but again, that is personal opinion. And now, before we get into the pulse induction machines, just a quick honorable mention. This is the Gold Monster 1000. It's a very similar price point to the Equinox 800. This one is more focused on gold rather than coin and relic, and it is a very simple and easy machine to use. There are barely any buttons or functions on there, which is a downside, but in terms of entry-level gold detecting at a really affordable price, this is definitely something to consider. Alright, now we are on to the pulse induction machines. First of all, my favorite, the lowest cost of the Minelab range in pulse induction, the SCC 2300. Now, this is ultra compact, it's not too heavy, but yeah, look how compact that thing is. It's like just a little bit bigger than the size of my head. It's about the size of, say, a loaf of bread. It is just incredible. In terms of ease of use, there is 2 switches on there. One of them is an on and off switch. The other one is for sensitivity. Simple, easy to use, I love it. And you also have a noise cancel and ground balance button on the remote. But just look at that portability. One of the great things about this, it's waterproof, dust proof, which is great. I wouldn't really be looking for gold in water. Some people do, but yeah, that's just not for me. For the price and what you can do with it, it's really a great machine. As you can see, you know, the only bits of gold I've ever found was with an SDC. So definitely, I may have some bias there, but I love this machine. Portability, price point, and use. It ticks all the boxes. And now, the detector that is worth more than my car, the GPZ 7000. Now this thing is an absolute beast. I personally have only got to use this thing once. Found no gold with it, but hey, it was really interesting to use. Has got a bit of weight to it, especially when you start adding on some larger coils. But in terms of price, this is about double the price of the SDC, but you do, you know, it goes deeper. It's got the functionality, it's got an LCD screen there, as you can see. You can go through all your functions, all your settings. This one is like the CTX, but for gold. So many things you can customize with it, change, yeah, and it's a really, really powerful machine. And as with all these machines, the price really does reflect the usability of it. But you do have to consider, you know, the law of diminishing returns and what is exactly right for you. Say you're going to go detecting on the beach, I would much rather a Nokta Simplex or a Vanquish than one of these. Just because this would be screaming in your head on the beach and you would not use this. So every machine has their pros and cons. You wouldn't just go with the most expensive because that would make no sense. I would not use this on the beach, but I'd much rather this on the gold fields than a Simplex or a Vanquish, because, you know, this packs the punch. So that is the GPZ 7000. In the Minelab Gold detecting range, there is also the GPX 5000. I haven't got any on hand with me today to show you, unfortunately, but that is just an in-between between the SDC and the GPZ 7000. And it is in between in terms of price point as well. Now, in terms of the 4 categories, the 3 price points as well as the pulse induction machine, my picks for each. The first would be the Nokta Simplex, just because it's waterproof and it has all that functionality. Just starting off detecting, you want to try little bits of everything, so it's a great machine to choose. And then the $500 to $1,000 category, I would have to go with the Vanquish 540, especially the Pro Pack, which is just under $700. Now in the Pro Pack you actually get 2 coils, which gives you a bit more functionality, versatility, you save some money on that as well. The thing with the Vanquish series is they're so close to an Equinox, they just don't have that waterproof capability or the user interface that the Equinox has. So for $500 to $1,000 I'd be picking up the Minelab Vanquish 540. Now $1,000 plus, this is where you got to really put some thought into it, into where you're going to be detecting. So I'm not really going to put my opinion on this one, but I'm just going to say one thing, and that is I personally use the Equinox 800. I'm loving it. It is a little over $1,000, so it is that $1,000 plus bracket, but for what you get for the money is just absolutely incredible, and I'm loving it. But once you get to that price point, it is up to what you like, what brands you like, what you really need when you go detecting. And yeah, unless you've got the money to throw around, you may not want to start at this price point. You might want to start at the $500 to $1,000 mark and really get your feel for the hobby and which direction you would like to go, whether it be beach, solely beach, coin and relic, or gold detecting. And of course, the pulse induction category, what's my favorite? Now it may surprise a few of you, seeing as I've used a $4,000 and a $10,000 machine, but I'm going to go with the SCC 2300. Now it may be the cheapest of the 3, but in terms of portability, functionality, and ease of use, it is just absolutely incredible. I don't have the most experience in gold detecting, I'm more of a coin and relic guy myself, so this was just absolutely perfect for me. Now when you're buying a metal detector, especially your first metal detector, here are a few things that people glaze over and don't really think to look at. When you're determining a budget, make sure you factor in money for a pinpointer. Now a pinpointer, I won't get into too depth with it. Once you've found your target, which is in the size of your coil, this really helps pinpoint it to not only save you time, but also save the grass being torn up and everything, because you want to keep those holes as neat as possible. So it's really money for time with this thing. You can save yourself 10 minutes per hole, especially if it's something as small as a 22 round bullet. This will definitely save you some time. In terms of pinpointer and cost, it is personal choice, but most of them start around $200 and cap off at around $300. Yeah, but it's whatever you decide. Most pinpointers are pretty alike. Just make sure if you're going to be using it underwater, make sure it's a waterproof pinpointer. Another thing to consider is digging equipment. Now in your budget, you must account for the appropriate digging equipment. Now I wouldn't go detecting on a beach with a pick like this, and I certainly wouldn't go detecting in the middle of a gold field with a sand scoop, that's for sure. So you need the appropriate digging equipment. If you don't have some already, make sure you factor that in, because yeah, you'll definitely regret it otherwise. And some other accessories that aren't exactly needed, but definitely help out. The first one would be a finds bag. Now a good quality finds bag will last you for years. Now you could go with, say, an ammunitions bag or a tool belt, or you could go something specially designed for detecting, where you've got a pinpointer holder, water bottle holder, good finds area, trash finds area, and yeah, really set yourself up. Another thing to consider is a good quality set of headphones, especially if you're looking for gold. You could go with headphones or a speaker, such as a booster. Yeah, that will really help out, especially for gold when you're listening for those really faint targets. And the last thing, of course, is with every metal detector, apart from the Go Find series, they are interchangeable coils. So further down the line, you could pick up some more coils. I like to think of detecting as very similar to photography or videography. You have your body of the camera, or the control box of your detector, and you can interchange your lens or your coils. So the 2 things to consider when you're looking for a metal detector. First thing you need to think about is budget. Second thing is where you're going to use it. Once you have those 2 things sorted out, it will be a breeze. It's just narrowing down functionality and yeah, brand basically. Alright guys, I really hope you found that video helpful, and hopefully you're leaving with less questions than you came in. As you can see, there are many different machines with many different functions, capabilities, and build qualities, and these are across quite a wide price range, and cost is generally consistent with quality, so definitely keep that in mind. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.